And now, ladies and gentlemen of the old world, we're back in business once again with a community showdown featuring the Vampire Coast, who shall be led by Outpost 969. Today, guys, he faces off against a Skaven, who shall be led by Kratos Static. It's going to be a duel between Ikit Claw and Aranes Assault Spite, and they do actually occasionally clash in campaign as well, so it should be quite a bit of fun. Now, as far as this Coast Army goes, frontline is going to be deckhand mobs, but really, one of the main reasons that I wanted to cast this game was because there is a combination of the glorious Queen BESS as well as a mighty bloated corpse hiding somewhere in the trees. I can't quite remember, but yes, there's a bloaty boy back there, Queen BESS. And honestly, yeah, against Skaven, the applications of Queen BESS, let's see. I mean, obviously, if the Skaven brings some elite troops like Council Guard, for example, and Council Guard I think you do see in this matchup occasionally, just in case there's like a Morngul rush, it's really nice to have the Council Guard to fall back on, right? They're good against crabs, they're good against Prometheans, they're good against Mornguls. They can help protect your lords from Luther Harpy. That'd be a character, wouldn't it? But Luther Harkin sniping and things like that. So yeah, I suppose Queen BESS has some good targets here, but frontline is deckhand mobs, a couple handgun mobs in the back to put some heavy powder fire down, perhaps on ogres, furnaces, those type of things. There's going to be a deep caster here. Oh man, these things are getting wild. So it's going to be Aranessa plus a deep caster. So the deep caster does have the crab summon. It looks like it has the scary octopus tentacle spell, which you almost never see. So what is that thing called again? Kraken's Pull. And last but not least, there's going to be the Tide Call. So yeah, certainly going to be fun. We got some bombers on the flanks to defend against any Skaven that happen to get through the front line, handguns in the back, and a bloaty boy hiding in the trees. Now, as far as the Skaven goes, let's go ahead and take a look here. We can actually put it in real time as they advance here. It is going to be Skaven slaves, and honestly, it's a pretty well-rounded army. And you use Skaven slaves. We got a Plague Furnace here just to melt down infantry, although I don't know how necessary a Plague Furnace is against Vampire Coast, but we'll find out. Ikit Claw is going to be on his flare, it looks like. We do have double Jezzail, one of which is going to be Natty Bubos, Rattling Gunners, and also the Poison Wind Mortars. And oh my goodness! Look at the fat damage coming into the Council Guard. That is so painful. Like, when I see that happening, I just imagine all the gold just ebbing out of this man's pockets right here. That is some brutal stuff, and I would imagine Bessie's going to be coming in for another thunderous shot. Oh, God. Oh, that's so much damage. Man, they're so expensive, too. Council Guard costs well over 1,000 gold, and that is a brutal start here for the Skaven for sure. And there's, like, nowhere they can really hide the Council Guard. That's the thing that's a little bit tricky here. So here comes another shot going downtown. Oh man, those Council Guard, like, more or less got like 3-shotted by that Queen BESS. Now the mortars are shooting elsewhere. It looks like there were a couple mortars in the back of that Vampire Coast army. I think they're just going after most of the base Skaven slaves and chaff units. Mortars are not going to be very effective against Jezzails and things like that because of how loosely packed they are. But against Council Guard and baseline infantry, of course, they'll do okay. So Ikit Claw is rolling forward on his Doom Wheel. Skaven definitely... you can see the Skaven build seem to be pretty built around defending a rush of sorts. I mean, there's a Helped Abomination to fight Leviathans, Prometheans, Mornguls, Plague Priests, of course. I guess that could be decent against Syrenes. It does do magic AoE damage and also has magic damage itself with a discouraging effect. So against like Sirene type units, the Plague Priest could be good. So I guess it depends on the playstyle that you think your opponent may be bringing to the table. But the Council Guard are still here. I mean, they still hold strong. Well, strong-ish. They have 30 models. And now the Skaven are almost in sight here. And they're going to be dropping some Warp Lightning back here. Looks like the first of the Warp Lightning shots going to be going here on the flank against those halberds. And that was actually a really good one. Took out 16 models and did some pretty good HP damage. But yeah, the Skaven really need to push the tempo. Jezzails have a pretty good firing position. Honestly, they could just sit here and snipe Queen BESS. I think that's going to be a pretty cost-effective trade for them. And you know, if the mortars are more or less just shooting Skaven slaves, you know, you don't necessarily need to advance as a Skaven. Although I guess the mortars and Queen BESS will eventually hit home on these Warplock Jezzails, but what you could do, for example, you could cast Warp Lightning on Queen BESS, you could sit and shoot Queen BESS. He does also have the Poison Wind Mortars, so he could really sit back and probably win the artillery trade just by sniping Bessie and then methodically picking off the mortar teams. Although, I don't know, maybe he wants to get a little bit more aggressive. We'll see how it pans out for him, Cotton. So here, the Skaven are advancing. Queen BESS is down, so though the Council Guard did get pounded pretty badly, Queen BESS has also fallen somewhat early in this battle. We're around the 3-minute mark, so, I guess it's not really the worst trade in the world. Now the mortars definitely want to shoot at the black spot, go after the handguns back here, go after these handguns. Those are going to be the more choice targets that you really want to shoot at. Ideally with mortars, like shooting at a handgun unit like right here, for example, could be good because it could hit the halberds as well. You really want to maximize the amount of targets you're hitting. Now the Helped Abomination getting a little bit aggressive, just taking a ton of powder here from the Vampire Coast. I think the Helped Abomination should also fall back to the tree line and be brought in the late game. And here you can see Aranes Assault Spite, Porky Pig casting here. Aranes Assault Spite is coming in with her peg leg. She is infantry size, so she should be able to do very, very well against that Helped Abomination, who will be lacking its bonus first large there. Looks like Queen BESS's crew is being sent out one last time to do battle. Oh yes, and the dreaded Lore of the Deep going to be summoning some crabs here. Crabs, of course, will be a pretty good roadblock against Skaven. Not that they really needed it in this position. Granted, the Prometheans could be potentially good against the Plague Priest. So nice net there by Aranessa, able to net down the Plague Priest. But is there going to be a follow-up? If the handguns are able to turn and shoot and really start to hammer down that Plague Priest, perhaps so. And here it looks like Ikitclaw somehow got gooned on the flank. I have no idea how. He's kind of easy to miss on his little flare, but it looks like he was just fighting over here, and I think probably just taking some firepower from the Black Spot or some of those other units. But it's a pretty pitched battle. Skaven weapons teams are doing okay. Jezzails have 18 models. Mortars are pretty healthy. We have Rattling Gunners and Jezzails, all of whom have pretty good firing angles. So certainly a very concerning thing here for the forces of the Vampire Coast. Again, I think Skaven should really fall back and take a very defensive posture. With all their weapons teams, they could really, probably take out these mortars no problem, and then force the Vampire Coast to advance into a bit of an awkward engagement. But we'll see how this frontline fight goes for them. So the Helped Abomination is still somewhat healthy. Looks like it's actually doing a pretty good job fighting the Rotting Prometheans, which of course I believe are summons. I'm not sure if both of them were summons. Yeah, we'll have to check in a little bit, but Aranessa's Hellspite's also quite beat up. It looks like she probably took some firepower from some of the weapons teams and or the Helped Abomination. And though she's going to be good against it, she's still pretty squishy. She does only have 20 armor and not the biggest HP pool. But Ikitclaw's coming in the back. You can see the mighty Tinker Rat lurking in the shadows, but that is a lot of Skaven firepower coming in. How are the summons doing? Okay, it looks like that is the second summon right there. These ones are not summons right here. So one of the Prometheans is indeed real. So the Skaven player certainly is going to want to focus those ones down, and it looks like he is to an extent. I think some of the Jezzails as well as the Rattling Gunners up on the high ground here are shooting at this one unit, so he seems to be getting some decent real estate there. Now, tough one for the Skaven. Looks like the Helped Abomination may be falling here. It will route off, of course, and run. It looks like it's going to run the wrong direction, though, and man, what did that kind of damage? Must have been Aranessa plus also the Vampire Fleet Captain hitting it at the exact same time, because it looked like it had like over 1,000 HP, and it just got tanked instantly. So Aranessa does like 400. We have 380 here, so that must have been a pretty big amount of burst damage. But the Plague Furnace is still going, which, is turning out to be useful here in the late game. It will be very good at draining down hordes of zombies, and, mortars from both sides are still shooting. Ikitclaw in the back, trying to cause some disruption, but you better watch out, because if these zombie pirate handgun mobs are put in guard mode and decide to just shoot Ikitclaw, he's going to get dunked on incredibly bad. And it looks like they're lining up their long rifles here. Oh, Ikit, this is going to be bad, man. You better get out of here. 732 HP. It looks like the handguns, of course, they are zombies, a little bit slow to react to things. He's going to be able to route off the edge of the map and perhaps go back to Skaven Blight and do whatever Ikitclaw does. So now here, Skaven definitely need to strike back here, and it looks like the Plague Priest is going to be using its bonus for its infantry and good AP values, not that it needs it, to go after Aranessa's Hellspite, which isn't a bad idea. The Rattling Gunners are still shooting. Jezzails are okay on ammunition. Mortar teams are getting a little bit sparse on ammo, which is going to be tough because that means Coast might actually be able to push forward. But Coast doesn't have many of the typical tools they would have in this situation, right? Like the zombie summons. For example, they could summon gunnery mobs back here, which could then pressure on the sharpshooters. Lore of the Deep really is kind of a bit of a crutch, but it's a really fun lore magic to use. It has a lot of like funky spells like Vangeist Revenge and all that sort of good stuff. So here are the Spearfisher's net. It looks like Aranessa's going fishing for some rats here, some plague stinky rats. She's able to lock it down, but she's also taking damage. She's at 990 HP. There should be a Mortis Engine effect from the Furnace here that is slowly plinking away at her HP. But of course, it's better against units that have a ton of HP, essentially. So Jezzail still shooting. Jezzail still shooting. It looks like we do have the weapon teams here. The mortars have been able to exhaust their full payload and, taking out the enemy mortar teams. Ikitclaw in the back actually doing his thing. It looks like he is able to maybe finish off this other mortar. So doing a good job. It looks like the Vampire Coast player, he's easy to miss, right? I've missed him in commentary. The Vampire Coast player's probably been shooting the Plague Furnace and some of the frontal targets more than Ikit. And over here, it looks like some bombers were able to chase off some of the flanking Skaven forces. But those bombers, when they come back, could actually be a big problem. I think the Skaven player really needs to prioritize keeping his Furnace alive, because if he doesn't, just even a group of bombers is going to be able to march through and probably like rout off all of his weapons teams. Like Skaven slaves are not going to do much against bombers. They are a very, very powerful unit. So they weren't always so. One of those units that's really gone through quite a bit of change. Now the Skaven player is going to be using the Scrying Stone, which actually gives him a little bit of ward save. It's a very underrated item you don't see terribly often, but certainly very good on Furnaces, who are often a big kind of sponge for damage. But looks like the Furnace is going to be getting crumps now. We do have the Vampire Fleet Captain of the Deep and Aranessa getting in there. There are some Council Guard giving the Guardian ability to this Plague Priest, but 87 HP, I don't think that's going to give him too far in this cold, harsh, old world here. The little rats are pulling on the bell as quickly as they can to propel themselves forward. But look at this, Vampire Fleet Captain actually gets picked off by some of the Rattling Gunners, it looks like, as well as the Jezzails, and Aranessa could very, very easily meet that same fate. 10 Council Guard here, she will be able to beat them most likely, but they're going to fight to the bitter end, and every one of their little rat shanks they get in there is going to be quite impactful. So how are we on ammo? It looks like Poison Wind mortars are quite low, and for Vampire Coast, we do indeed have gunnery mobs with pretty good ammunition, honestly. 72 models is a lot of stopping power. Aranessa should probably disengage from this, like go hide in the trees or something, and use the handgun mobs here to really kind of pound into the Council Guard. Should be able to finish them off. It looks like these zombies are kind of forming ranks here as they do take some Jezzail fire. But yeah, once they shoot, I mean, that could be some big damage. You can see they're losing some shots back there, opting not to go for the Council Guard. Aranessa is going to be retreating, but could come back and be a variable as the late game does kind of come to fruition here. Although I think the Jezzails might be trying to sniper. Nope, they're going in there. Man, those Council Guard, despite being pounded into absolute dust in the beginning, have come back and really have been serious playmakers as we have progressed. But yeah, this is the big variable, guys. So the zombie power gunnery mob bombers, like, I don't know, like, yeah, it looks like Skaven are in a good position, but all of the ammunition here for the Skaven is more or less empty. I mean, we have a couple of shots from the Jezzails, which are wisely now shooting at this new target. So the dreaded tactical reserves, as it's called in the on the inn, you know, that's what the pros call it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, of course, like the tactical reserve bombers who were kind of forgot about for a while are suddenly going to become a bit of a problem, right? Like the Skaven are having to send their mortar teams into melee combat here, and I don't know if they're even going to get in there. Do you see that attack animation? Like the guy holding the poison wind globe, he gets like his right hand and like paws at the guy, like tries to claw him. Oh, that's so funny. Their attack animations are so ridiculous. Like they're literally just fighting with their claws. What is a melee attack on those things? Yeah, it looks like a little bit soft stuff there, but yeah, Bomber's able to get some good damage, but here comes these Skaven slaves now. The Skaven player might have wanted to gather everything at once, but even still, I don't know if that would have mattered. Like they're all very beat up Skaven troops. Oh, the Council Guard! Are they going to be the heroes? Man, these Council Guard really just go in this whole game, man. And it looks like the Bombers, I'm not sure what they're doing right now. Maybe trying to go finish off some of these other assets here, but they're going to be turning around. And Council Guard are heavily armored, but 53 HP is 53 HP. And you can see the Council Guard probably going to be getting worn down here. Now they get back up. And now we have the Jezzails pushing in, the Poison Wind Mortar teams pushing in. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think Vampire Coast has this. Like, I can't see how the Skaven can pull this one back. They both played a really fun game for sure. I think the Skaven player needed to be more conservative with his Hellpit Abomination, and also just delay the engagement. There was like no need for him to, get so, really aggressive with the mortars and Jezzails. He could have picked off BESS, picked off the mortar teams, and really forced the Vampire Coast into an awkward situation, in my opinion. But nonetheless, it's like, I've made that mistake countless times of just like wanting to get in there and bunker bust them and do that fat damage, but oh my god. Zombie power gunnery mobs are going to carry. It looks like the Skaven did pull ahead here for the bounce of power for a quick moment. It's back and forth for sure. Council Guard, how many kills they got? 22. I mean, did they get a kill there? Up to 23. All right, one of the bombers going down. They're now crumbling, which is actually really big for the Skaven. I mean, crumbling, it's going to take a while for 3,000 HP to crumble. What do we have in the distance? Oh, that is big. That is really big. 7 Rattling Gunners, like 7 of 24 isn't that bad. And if they're able to like perch up on a hill and kite, oh, it's a shame. I wonder how long they were back for, because if he could have gotten those guys in while he was attacking with the other units. But those Rattling Gunners could potentially like, shoot and kite, but I have a feeling they're going to get hit with army losses or something else. I don't know, we'll go ahead and see. So those guys come in, they get absolutely nuked right there. And now comes the glorious Poison Wind Mortar teams. Oh yeah, getting in there. Watch the attack animations, guys. You guys are going to love this shit. Are they like dropping? No, those are the bombers doing that. It's the Battle of the Haggard attack animations. Yeah, pretty fun stuff. Little ratsies are trying. They're getting in there. They're like, the upper hand. There's a little Mike Tyson left there from that rat as he's clutching his his Poison Wind Globe. But are the weapons teams going to be enough? You can see the Rattling Gunners are approaching. He needs to be. You know what? Those bombers are actually out of ammunition. Oh my god. Are the Rattling Guns going to hold? They need a little bit of support. I think the Rattling Guns, if leadership wasn't an issue, would eventually be able to win this. But yeah, they're just like so beat up and tired that. Then they're Skaven. But they probably could have been able to win that. They would have gotten them to crumble and suppress. But although I don't know, the zombies might have been able to endure only 7 of them and then eventually march them down. But my goodness, what a game. So thank you to Outpost 969 and Kratos Static for sending that one in. Man, I missed the Bloaty Boy. I'm so sorry. I was so focused on Queen Bess destroying those rats that I missed that. But yeah, I'm sure the bloat did well. I mean, he got 65 kills, but it was probably just against Skaven slaves, so a little bit, I'm sure it wasn't terribly exciting. So don't worry about it, guys. But man, Bess just went deep that game. But yeah, both builds are really fun, honestly. I like Kratos' build. I'd be a little bit concerned that there's too much to. It's in a little bit of an awkward place because there's too much to protect against rushes, but against the Vampire Coast gunline, I guess this build is really good against Vampire Coast gunline. I feel like. Against a Vampire Coast gunline, 2 Jezzails plus a mortar team can usually snipe out their artillery pieces, especially with the Warp Lightning. So, yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad for sure. The Vampire Coast build was certainly very unorthodox, like a wild bloat in there, some mortars, Queen Bessie. It was great, though, man. He brought Lord of the Deep as well, so big props to him for doing that. It was a really fun game. Well played to Kratos Static. He played a great game as well. A lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing this Coast vs. Skaven showdown. Certainly a very epic ending indeed, and we'll be back with more content soon, my friends. Take care.